Hey there, car enthusiasts! Do you know what keeps your car rolling smoothly and safely? It's the wheel bearings, crucial components that can wear out over time. In this video, we'll discuss the top 5 symptoms of a failing wheel bearing and what you can do to fix it. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of what to look out for so you can keep your car in top shape. So let's dive in. So what makes a failing wheel bearing such a big deal? Well, before we dive into the symptoms, let's talk about what a wheel bearing is and why it's important. A wheel bearing is a component that's found in every wheel of a vehicle. It's what allows the wheel to rotate freely and smoothly without any friction. The wheel bearing is made up of a set of steel balls or rollers that are enclosed in a metal ring, which is known as a race. As you drive, the wheel bearing takes on a lot of stress and wear, especially when making turns or going over bumps. A properly functioning wheel bearing ensures that your car runs smoothly and your wheels stay firmly attached to your vehicle. On the other hand, a failing wheel bearing can cause a lot of problems. Not only can it lead to further damage, but it can also be dangerous, especially if it goes unnoticed. When a wheel bearing starts to fail, it means that the steel balls or rollers inside are no longer working properly. This can cause the wheel to wobble, vibrate, or even come off entirely while driving. In other words, a failing wheel bearing is nothing to ignore. So now that we know what a wheel bearing is and why it's important, let's take a closer look at what it looks like. A wheel bearing is typically a small, round metal part that's located in the hub assembly of your vehicle. It's usually covered by a dust cap or a bearing hub assembly that's held in place by a retaining clip. The wheel bearing assembly consists of an inner and outer race, steel balls or rollers, and a cage that holds them in place. The inner race is attached to the spindle or axle of the vehicle, while the outer race is attached to the wheel hub assembly. When a wheel bearing starts to fail, it can look different depending on the type of damage. For example, if the steel balls or rollers are worn down, they can create a rough surface that can cause the wheel to vibrate or make noise. In more severe cases, the entire bearing may come apart, causing the wheel to wobble or even come off. The main function of a wheel bearing is to support the weight of the vehicle while allowing the wheel to rotate smoothly with minimal friction. This is achieved through a series of steel balls or rollers that are contained within the bearing assembly. As you drive, the wheel bearing is subjected to a lot of stress and strain. For example, when you turn the steering wheel, the weight of the vehicle shifts to one side, putting pressure on the bearing. A properly functioning wheel bearing can handle this stress and ensure that the wheel rotates smoothly. However, if the bearing is worn or damaged, it can cause the wheel to wobble or vibrate, which can affect the handling of the vehicle. In addition, a failing wheel bearing can also cause other problems, such as excessive tire wear or damage to the suspension system. This is why it's important to have your wheel bearings inspected regularly by a mechanic. If a problem is detected, the mechanic can repair or replace the bearing before it causes any further damage or becomes a safety hazard. The wheel bearing is located in the wheel hub assembly, which is the part of the car that holds the wheel in place. It's typically located at the center of the wheel hub assembly, between the spindle or axle and the wheel itself. In some cars, the wheel bearing is built into the hub assembly, which means that the entire assembly needs to be replaced if the bearing fails. In other cars, the bearing can be replaced separately, which can save time and money. The location of the wheel bearing can vary depending on the make and model of your car, but it's usually accessible for inspection and repair. It's worth noting that the wheel bearing is also connected to the suspension system of your car. This means that a failing wheel bearing can cause damage to other parts of the suspension, such as the strut or control arm. Wheel bearings are typically made from high-strength steel, which is designed to withstand the heavy loads and stresses that they're subjected to. The most common type of wheel bearing is the ball bearing, which is made up of a series of steel balls held in place by a metal ring or cage. In order to ensure that the bearings are strong and durable, they undergo a series of heat treatments and quality checks during the manufacturing process. However, even the strongest materials can wear down over time, which is why it's important to have your wheel bearings inspected regularly by a mechanic. A failing wheel bearing can cause a lot of damage to your car's suspension system, so it's important to catch any problems early on. If a problem is detected, the mechanic can replace the bearing with a new one made from high-quality steel, which will help ensure the safe operation of your vehicle. Now that we know what material a wheel bearing is made from, let's talk about how long it should last. The lifespan of a wheel bearing can vary depending on a number of factors, including driving conditions, maintenance, and the quality of the bearing itself. If you frequently drive on rough or unpaved roads, your wheel bearings may wear down faster due to the increased stress and vibration. Regular maintenance can also help prolong the life of your wheel bearings. Your mechanic can inspect the bearings during routine service appointments and replace them if necessary. In general, a well-maintained wheel bearing can last anywhere from 100,000 to 150,000 miles. However, it's important to keep in mind that this is just a rough estimate, and some bearings may fail sooner than others. As we mentioned earlier, driving conditions can play a big role in the wear and tear of your wheel bearings. Rough or unpaved roads can cause increased stress and vibration on the bearings, which can lead to premature failure. Additionally, a lack of lubrication can cause the bearings to wear down more quickly. Over time, the grease that surrounds the bearing can break down and become contaminated with dirt and debris. This can cause the bearing to overheat and eventually fail. Regular maintenance, such as lubricating the wheel bearings during routine service appointments, can help prevent this from happening. Another factor that can contribute to worn-out wheel bearings is driving with a damaged or misaligned wheel. If the wheel is not properly balanced or aligned, it can put extra stress on the bearings, causing them to wear out more quickly. One of the most common signs is a grinding or humming noise coming from the wheel area. This noise may become louder or more intense as you accelerate or make turns. You may also notice a vibration or shimmying sensation in the steering wheel or the vehicle itself. This can be caused by the wheel wobbling due to a worn-out bearing. Another symptom is uneven tire wear, as the misaligned wheel caused by a faulty bearing can cause the tire to wear out unevenly. In some cases, a failing wheel bearing can also cause the ABS or traction control system to activate, as the sensor may detect an issue with the wheel speed. It's important to address these symptoms promptly, as a worn-out wheel bearing can cause serious safety issues if left unchecked. So, if you suspect that your wheel bearing is worn out based on the symptoms we just discussed, what should you do? The first step is to take your vehicle to a qualified mechanic who can diagnose the issue. They may need to inspect the wheel bearing itself, as well as other related components like the brakes and suspension. If the wheel bearing is indeed worn out, it will need to be replaced. This is not a job that should be attempted by a DIY enthusiast, as it requires specialized tools and expertise. Your mechanic will need to remove the wheel hub and press out the old bearing, then install a new one and reassemble the hub. Once the new wheel bearing is installed, your vehicle should be smooth and quiet again, and you can have peace of mind knowing that your car is safe to drive. So, if you suspect that your wheel bearing may be worn out, don't delay in getting it checked out. By taking prompt action, you can help ensure the safety and reliability of your vehicle for years to come. And there you have it, the top 5 symptoms of a failing wheel bearing. We hope you found this video informative and helpful. Remember, keeping your car in top shape is important for your safety and the longevity of your vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more car maintenance tips and tricks. And as always, feel free to leave a comment with any questions or feedback. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.